best this year to bless this here mic till your brain burst. I guessed appeared twice and the check will clear 3 times for the same verse. I was always a demon.
Hello everyone, Darko 2012 here with Global Government News. I'm covering an article from the New York Post, and this was published on March 30th, 2010. And it's got a weird title. I don't know how to really say this, but it says Rail Cops Go Great Guns. It's kind of a stupid title, but either way, they're talking about submachine guns being manned by, of course, our blacked out transit police. Just about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I'd say about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, the DC Transit Police was running big time exercises in there, and there they are with their nice little Nazi SS helmets and their blacked out uniforms and all blacked out everywhere, and just, you know, making passengers feel uncomfortable. And it says, oh, I'm going to tie this in with another story that is from USA Today. So it says, stand clear of the submachine guns. In an unusual move, a heavily armed NYPD security battalion with enough firepower to wipe out downtown Brooklyn descended onto the city's subway trains yesterday in response to suicide bombings in Russia that killed dozens of passengers in Moscow's subway. Bleary-eyed New Yorkers began their work weeks with a morning rush hour that featured city cops in full military gear, including helmets, goggles, body armor, sidearms, and M16 assault rifles. The underground arsenal startled sleepy straphangers, many of whom wondered whether the extra security was overkill. I think it's excessive, said Holly Salentang, 26, a writer from Queens. Quote, it's Easter this week, and you have families with young kids on the subway, and I'm sure cops with machine guns would scare them. Yeah, but, you know, it's my opinion that it's all about acclimation. It's all about getting people ready. There is no threat. There is, you know what I'm saying? There's no threat. There's no need for this. It is overkill. But like I said, it's all about getting people used to seeing these scumbags everywhere, whether it's in airports, whether it's in transits, whether it's cops pulling you over with blacked out windows and black uniforms, and you know, asking for a biometric scan or pulling your DNA from a blood sample. I mean, this stuff is happening so fast now, it's like making my head spin. But it says, I feel there should have been a bit more of a thought process before they did this. We can't lose our heads over something that happened in another country and make New York City look like we are at war. And that's kind of an interesting point, because that's just a regular old passenger saying that. And that's the first thing, that was kind of the first thing that I thought of that was kind of strange about this whole incident with the train bombing in Russia, was that it's happened. They've already had 2 bombings on trains in the past 6 months prior to this incident, and this was, you know, like I said, this was posted March 30th, 2010. And the first thing that I thought of was, wow, it sure is strange that New York City and DC are deploying security guards, SS, with machine guns, and that when something happened all the way across the globe, across the planet. And then, of course, the first thing I thought was, of course, the problem, reaction, solution stage, where governments allow themselves to be attacked knowingly, and or they indirectly fund, right, the attacks. So they either do that, the latter, or they are aware of it and at the tip top, they allow it to happen, or they just ignore evidence, much like the Pentagon shooter whose parents warned them, and much like the Christmas Day bomber whose parents warned authorities. So authorities get warned of this stuff, but they like to dismiss it because then it allows them to play the victims. And this is the biggest points that I like to make in my videos, is that the government isn't stupid. They're very smart, and they like to act like they're inefficient, because then that allows them to play the victim, to be attacked, and then, oh, something must be done, right? So I'm sure some of you have heard that whole process, that strategy that they use in order to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we mirror the Third Reich, because we're pretty much tiptoeing that line where we will be very close with, in line with what the Third Reich regime was, or what they wanted to be. We're just a little more passive right now, or it's not in everybody's face, But if you go into the city, well, then it is the Third Reich. I mean, you just walk around, you'll see the cameras everywhere, and you'll just see surveillance everywhere. And then, like I said, you have these SS armed with guns and nice little fascists running around, assuming that everyone's guilty and making us feel like slaves. So, with that being said, I just thought it was really weird that we all the way across the world would be reacting a little too much, reacting a little too much for an incident that happened across the planet. And then I thought about the problem, reaction, solution strategy that they use, whether they create the problem, which is allow the attack to happen, or they do things like they fund radical Islam, they fund the extremists and these cells, or they just do things to fuck with them so that they get them so pissed off that they, like these black widows, where their husbands are killed in defending their territory, and of course they're left with nothing, so then they just take their own lives in retaliation. So, I mean, these people don't just come out of woodwork and say, oh, we hate democracy, and do carry out these attacks. They usually are fueled by something, some initial reason. I'm not condoning what they're doing, but at the same time, you have to look at it from just more than one point of view, because this is what our global dictators want us to be like. They want us to think with a very limited perspective, where the world is black and white, and in some cases it is, and in some cases it's gray, and there's different views. So, but we gotta think for ourselves. And when I see this, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. So this allows, Russia and them to crack down on security, much like they did after 9/11 here in the States. So they create the problem, they allow it to happen, then they use the media to just keep repeating things. Like in Russia, they're saying, oh, Putin and Medvedev, it was on their watch, and something must be done. And so they crack down on security in Russia, but now in the United States they crack down. It's like, what the hell, And so, yeah. And then the solution, obviously, is they crack down, right? So the reaction is they put all this propaganda out there, and then they offer the solution, which is more security. But and just cut into this story from USA Today, just pure fucking propaganda, man. Look at this. It says, and this is their reason, this is their justification for all this security. The attacks Monday, which killed at least 39 and wounded more than 60, generated fears of a copycat strike in the U.S., reminded passengers of the vulnerability of subway and rail system 9. So they're saying that generated fears of a copycat strike. These were Chechens. These are people that are pissed off at the Russians for whatever reasons. I'm not condoning it, but what I'm saying is that this is something that has nothing to do with the United States. I don't see why Chechens would be, wanting to do something in the U.S. This doesn't make sense to me. Oh, and look at this. The New York subway system has no security cameras. And it says, a New York State report in January cited a lack of money and growing funds, or growing cost. Yeah, that's just too bad, see? That's what happens. Like I said, they get more funding. When they get attacked and something happens where they allow themselves to be attacked, well then, it's because they fucked up. And they say, oh, we need more money, and then the attacks still keep happening, so it doesn't actually fix the problem. But then they go on and say the NYPD regularly positions teams of heavily armed officers throughout the subway system as a visible deterrent to terrorists. Get that? A deterrent to terrorists. Random bag searches also aim to throw off attackers. So see, this is just pure fascism and Nazism. A deterrent for terrorists. Wow. This guy, this individual, Tory, 23, was vacationing from Ohio, said he was stunned at the show of force. Quote, I think it's ridiculous, he said. The attack happened in a different country and had nothing to do with Americans. I'd be nervous seeing cops with machine guns on the train. It makes people afraid, and when they don't need to be. But then again, you have nice little slaves that say, I don't think it's overkill. We need to be protected. You never know. And it says, better overkill than under response. So I'm not a slave, and I don't agree with this.